Cool. So we're going to do the melody first, and then I'm going to talk about just a couple of things about the melody. I don't know if you could hear, I was sort of throwing a couple of extra things in there. So I always try and structure these workshops that we've got the core tune, and if anyone's sort of a relatively beginner player, you can just keep playing the core tune while we add layers of difficulty to the core tune. So if at any point you want to just kind of hop off that point and stick at that level, that's exactly how I try and design these workshops. So we'll be playing the tune round quite a lot in this workshop. So if you don't get it straight away, please don't panic. I know panic can set in sometimes in these workshops if things don't go well early. But so once we've learnt the melody, talked a few technique things, we'll talk about the chords in a very specific way of playing the chords. We're going to do like a style of accompaniment that's more interesting than just the straight root and fifth. We're going to sort of kind of wander up and down the neck style accompaniment. But the same thing applies with that. If you know an A chord, you can just stick to an A chord. And cool. So let's learn the melody. I'm going to start with our A part. We're starting down here on an E. I like splitting things up into phrasing. So our first phrase, I would say, is this. So first 2 bars plus 1 beat. For anyone learning by ear, I'm starting on the E and I'm going up to C sharp. So E, C sharp, B. It's almost like a fanfare. So just try that round a few times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll just do one more time, and then I'm going to talk some technique. 2, 3, 4. E, C sharp, B. Cool. Okay, right. A couple of things to talk about. Just introduce my high-tech whiteboard. That if you have lessons with me, you're familiar with my high-tech whiteboard. So I always like talking a little bit of technique, and people often roll their eyes because I always go on about pick strokes. But to us mandolin players, pick strokes are as important as bowing is to fiddle players. And the right pick strokes opens a lot of doors, especially in this one. And you've all, and don't anyone rush to move their camera, but you've all very conveniently positioned your camera so I can't see your right hand. So I'll just have to judge that you are doing as I say. So we have our opening phrase. I would be really insistent on you playing down, 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 up. Because when you're playing the mandolin, to play proper pick directions, anything that's on the beat is a down, and anything that's off the beat is an up. So if you're counting beats, 1, 2, 3, 4, and... So only this last note here is technically off the beat. And then if you carry on into the second bar, which we just played as well. So this is our second bar. We're sort of very similar thing. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and. So your second bar would be down, 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 up, down, up. So that, and I won't go too deep into pick strokes, but that gives us a very quick shortcut to learning pick direction just by knowing it. If you're looking at the music, a group of 2 notes will always be down, up, because this second note will always be off the beat. And a group of 4 notes will always be down, up, because music wouldn't join them together if they were not on the beat, off the beat, on the beat, off the beat. So those 2 very simple rules solve a lot of problems when you find a tune and you don't know what your pick directions would be. If you can play the right pick strokes, the reason will become apparent in about 10 minutes if you'll allow me the time. So let's play the opening phrase again and see if you, and I'll try and say the pick strokes. This is where I embarrass myself and I can't talk and play at the same time, but I'll give it a go. So here we go. From the top, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, down. And if you watch my right hand when I'm doing that, it becomes apparent why it's useful. So 2, 3, 4. So if I was to not play and did that with my right hand, you see my right hand is basically tapping the beat there. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So with the right pick strokes gives correct timing in your right hand. All of a sudden your right hand becomes the beat, like a little metronome, like a pre-built metronome. Okay, now let's learn the rest of the A part and do your best to sort of stick to that rule. So we've got coming up 8 downstrokes in a row on this next phrase. So the second and third bars. Please don't try not to take a shortcut. Don't go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's a shortcut that will infect something that we're going to do later. So try and play this. Down, 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 down. Let's try that together. Bars 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for anyone learning by ear, it's E, C sharp, B, C sharp, D. One more time, that phrase. 2, 3, 4. Cool. And then let's just put that with the opening phrase from the top. 1, 2, 3, 4. And yes, it may feel weird if you've never thought about pick strokes before, but that is supposed to be a lot of downstrokes. If anyone's looked ahead, the next 2 bars are very similar, and I'll just play them for anyone doing it by ear. So once again, E, C sharp, B, C sharp, A. So we're now on the first 2 bars of the second line. Let's just try those together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then just to complete the A part, this is probably the hardest part of the A part. So from... I'll just play that again for anyone learning by ear. So I'm going to the D. Just try that together if we can. So last 2 bars of the A part, starting on the D. 1, 2, 3, 4. And one more time for good luck, then we'll try the whole A part. 1, 2, 3, 4. So if anyone has remembered my rule, not sure on pick strokes, you can see the last bar has 8 quarter notes or 2 groups of 4. So your last bar should be down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Nice and alternate. So let's try the whole A part round. Let's do it twice round from the top. Trying to not go too quick on myself. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. Last phrase. And again to the top. And stop there. So that's our A part. And if you didn't get that, don't worry, we'll be playing it round a lot more. When we play the chords, you can carry on playing the melody. So the reason why pick strokes are useful, because there was a version, and stupidly I forgot to open it, but there was a version of Nate Lee playing this on the fiddle with Becky Buller on YouTube. And when I listened to it, this is the melody I know. So if this is the first bar again. Bum, ba, 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 ba. When I listened to them play it, they were playing it slightly different. They were going... Oh, if I do it properly, hold on. There's a very subtle difference there. And what they were doing is they were sneaking in an open A string after almost every note. So they were kind of doing this. They were almost doing that constantly in this A part. So when you get to sort of bars 3 and 4, just constantly referring back to the open A string. Now, this is where my pick strokes collide. If you had taken a shortcut and done what people with bad habits do and sort of wanted to go down, up, you've got nowhere to go. It's very hard to sneak those extra notes in if you've already kind of used your alternate pick strokes when the tune's quite simple. So by sticking to pick direction, you're able to play this little embellishment. So you're welcome to give that a go. I will now play the A part like that because I really like how that sounds. It's such a subtle change and it doesn't change the melody. It almost adds like a drone note, but without adding a drone in. There's, you know, you could quite easily drone the E string for the whole thing, but this is sort of like a different way of adding a drone. It's sort of using the notes in between the melody to create a drone. So let's play the A part again and see how many open A's you can add in, or none at all if you want to just stick to how the main melody starts. So nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just going to jump in there, Alan. I think someone has just joined the waiting room. Because I'm just going to play that again. So we'll just give... Good afternoon. Hello. I'll just give them a chance to sit down because we're going to play that A part again. Good afternoon. You haven't missed much. We're still sort of working our way through the A part of John Stinson's. If you're not quite sure of the melody, just play an A chord and it'll sound great, and then catch us on the B part. So let's play the A part one more time, then we'll play the B part. 1, 2, 3, 4. At that point, you go to the second time bar. So if I just play, we've got a little phrase to get us into the B part. So let's learn the B part. The nice thing about the B part is it's the same phrase 3 times. So if I just loop that phrase, it starts on a high E. So that's the phrase. Starts up there. E, C sharp, E, C sharp, E. Or 0, 4, 0, 4, 0, 2, 0, 5, 4, 2, 0. And if you're thinking pick directions, you should have noticed the bad habit, the person who hasn't thought pick directions would be tempted to go down, up, down, up, down, up, and then sort of make up the rest. Whereas the right pick direction person goes down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down. So let's just loop that phrase round and round and round until we get a bit bored of playing it. So this is just straight in at the start of the B part. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again. Down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down. Keep going. Down, 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 down. Last time. Okay, and then the fourth phrase of the B part, if anyone's looked ahead, is identical to the end of the A part. It's such a common theme in tunes. Just steal the A part ending. So if you look at the start of the last line, so if we just try that, so it starts on the D, so D, C sharp. So we just try that last phrase of the B part together, starting on the last line on the 5th fret. So it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's play the B part round. And then once we've done that, I'll tell you how you can add a bit of interest to this B part, or how Nately adds interest to it, because I've stolen his ideas. So we'll go straight in for the start of the B part. After 4, here we go with the repeat. So we'll do the B part twice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same phrase again. Same phrase again. And then our ending phrase. Repeat. And again. One more time. And then, just like this is probably the biggest indication that it's actually an Irish tune originally, the tune doesn't actually resolve because it wants to go back to the start. Really common Irish theme. Okay, so this is the nice. So I did this in a workshop and we had to choose where we did this, but you can choose where you add this embellishment. And if I just play the embellishment, you might hear what I'm doing. So this is how I would embellish it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you notice the chords are A, F sharp minor, D. And because the melody is quite simple in that phrase, that little kind of sounds like an ambulance. Like Nino, Nino. You've got 4 beats there, where on any one of those 4 beats, you could add a chord underneath the melody. So I was adding it on beat 1. I was literally just playing a really simple A chord, 2200. And then F sharp minor is 640. So I was adding that on beat 1 of the next phrase. And then really simple D. Just 200 and then the melody. So really simply, you can like fill it out quite quickly. But you can do it on any beat. You could do it on beat 2. It's a bit harder. You can do it on beat 3. Any one of the 4 beats. You can do it on all 4. It's a bit much. You could do full chords. Becomes a bit bashy after that. But so that's the sort of the only way I would really embellish this part. I would be tempted to state that harmony that's going on, because that's actually the nice thing about this tune is that change in harmony, because the tune doesn't change. The tune just stays as da, 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 da. So it's the change in harmony that makes it sort of an interesting little B part. So we'll play the B part again and see if you can add in some chords as you play it. I'm going to add it on. Actually, not going to add it at all because I don't want to put you off, because you're playing along with me, hopefully. So let's try the B part again, see if you can add some chords to your own playing. 1, 2, 3, 4. F sharp minor. if anyone's feeling really ambitious, you can sneak a B minor under that 5. But that's quite an advanced thing to do. Okay, so hopefully we tested this earlier with Alan, but I've recorded. Normally at this point I would bring in my esteemed other half, Jay, to play some chords, but she is gigging in a pumpkin field of all places today with her band. There's a local farm that hired her band to be some background Western swing music while they allow people to pick pumpkins. So I have recorded me playing some guitar. So, 1, 2, 1, can everyone hear this? Can everyone hear those chords? Great. So, that's about 120 BPM. What were we playing? 1, 2. It's about the speed we were playing at then. So now we'll play the tune. Just put you all in the right place. There we go. So we'll now play the tune again, but hopefully this time you will hear it with the chords and you can hear how those nice chords change in the B part. And you can add any, to remember that embellishment in the A part. You're trying to add as many open A's as you can in and around. And in the B part, you can add those chords in if you want. If not, just keep on the main melody. Here we go. Right. I will allow previous mic of this morning to count us in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. Back to the top. Time onto the B part. B part again. Just because at this point it's normally where I rush, I want to give everyone one more go at that exercise. Just volume-wise, is everything are the chords okay, Alan? I'm kind of yeah. Okay, great. Let's give that one more go, and then we'll discuss how we could play the chords. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Second time onto the B part. So that is John Stinson's. Just out of interest, did anyone know this tune coming into this workshop? No? Well,
I knew it in a different key, but as Ducks on the Mill Pond, I thought.
Ah, right, okay. I mean, quite possibly, but I've never seen the two. Like, I did loads of research into it, and I'd never seen the two sort of said, oh, it's... Because quite often, if you go on the session.org, it'll be like, also known as...
Yeah, no, it's just when you sent the first YouTube around... And I played it, and I thought, that's Ducks on the Mill Pond. And I thought, well, hang on, Ducks on the Mill Pond's normally in D, and I don't know, they just sound very similar to me. But
let's have a very quick look. So Ducks on the Mill Pond.
Very similar, not identical.
Yeah, similar. Yeah, cool. We'll take it as a close cousin of Ducks on the Mill Pond. Great. Well, that was my one achievement, was to teach you all a new tune. So yeah, John Stinson's a very nice tune in A. So the great thing about being mandolin players is we can also play the chords, and we're in the key of A. So hopefully there was a second sheet that came with the tune with some chord charts on, because this can get a little overwhelming as I start shouting numbers and chord shapes at you. So hopefully that does help. Because what we're going to do is we're going to explore ways you can make the chords a bit more interesting as a mandolin player, should you wish. And like I said earlier, at any point you can just ignore what I'm saying and jam on. You know, if you don't have the chords, 2200 is your basic A, which is on that sheet. 2002 is your basic D. And E is a tricky one. I always play 4220 as my E. Not everyone likes that one. Some people want to go for 1220, but I always go for 4220 for my E. So those are my core chords. I'll just put them on the board here. So if you're not reading a chord chart, that's what we just played. So 2200, 2002 for D, and then I ran out of room. So the E looked like one you may have not played before. So this is how I would always play an E. That's the E that I always choose. For the music nerds out there, this is technically an E5 because you're just playing B, E, B, E. So this could also pass as E minor, but E minor is such an easy shape on the mandolin. It's generally used. This is used as E major. And of course, as soon as you hear someone play the opening line of, you know that's not going to be E minor. It's such a major tune. The tune puts the third in for you. So that's my E. And for anyone struggling, I always sort of come across this in lessons. When you start playing this A and this E, I actually play that A with one finger, and most mandolin players do. And a lot of people learning struggle. They think, I can't get all four strings. So you do some weird sort of bend your finger in half to get it down. I always just say, imagine you're playing the second fret of the G string and just slightly miss and stick it in the middle. And so my finger's trying to play four notes at the same time there. Lowest G string, that's dud. I'm not fretting that one. The second G string's clean. The first D string's clean. And the outer D string is like half clean, but you can't tell that as soon as you pick through that and sort of start hitting. So you don't really need to sort of do these people kind of double up and try and get them in. If you've got a hand or a wide fret or a small hand, you can get two fingers to play that A. My fingers are too fat and my neck is quite thin, so I have to do it with one finger. So yeah, just you don't have to contort your finger in some weird angle. Same with the E. You know, that finger in. I'm not catching all the strings, but if you pick through it, you don't really notice. So those are your core chords. And if you've never come across, in the B part, we're going to play an F sharp minor and a B minor. They're included on the chart. We'll get to them. But we're in the A part, which is just A, D, and E. So if you've never played chords before, those three chords are all you need. But for those who know those chords, we can make it a bit more interesting. Because when we're playing an A chord, we've got two strings ringing out here, an A and an E, that are going to work. So why don't we move what notes are being played down here? And what we need to do is find other notes in an A that will also work. So the first one that works, and I'll just tell you the answer rather than make you work them out. 6 and 2 is also an A chord. Now I reach that with my little finger and my index finger. It's quite a stretch. So 6 and 2 also works as an A chord. Sorry, 2 seconds while my laptop has a little think. And then, for anyone who's comfortable with that, so we've got 2 and 2 is an A, 6 and 2 is A, 9 and 7 is also an A chord. Because now we're playing E, A, E. So we're still just playing notes of the A chord. Here we're playing C sharp, E, A, and E. So you can think of it as inversions. You can think of it as different double stops. However you think of it in your head, they all work as an A chord. And if you pick sort of through and hit all of the chords, or all of the strings, you've kind of created a new voicing by just changing the 2 notes down here. So if you have a big stretch of A, you can start here, go to here, go to up here, back to the second one, and then back to the original. You've sort of done a nice shape of chord playing whilst the chord has just stayed on A. And it's a really common way of accompanying people on mandolin. It's a really nice thing that we have on this instrument, that we've got these open strings that ring out in A. And of course, if you don't want to do any of that, you can stick on A and it'll still sound great. So, for example, if I was playing John Stinson's number 2, we have 3 bars of A. So at some point in those 3 bars, you could shift to one of the other A options. So you could do 2 bars of the root. You could shift to the second option, the 6 and 2. Because there's something about that sounds like it's leading somewhere. Sort of like so that you might want to throw that one in, you can when you've got 3 bars of an A. And then, so that's A. Now this is the unfortunate way you get a lot of different chords thrown at you. They're all everything I'm going to talk about is written on that chart that I sent a few days earlier, so you can always refer back to that. So we've got a D. We know how 2002 works, but we also have 7 and 4 that works as a D. And then if you're really feeling, so let's leave it at 2 Ds. I only put 2 Ds on the thing. There are other ones down here, but for the sake of this workshop, let's just stick to 2 and 0 or 7 and 4 for D. Now, the note of E for today, I did give you the other options. So for E, I've already given you that one, but if you think you're on a D here at 7 and 4, so I'm on 7 and 4, if you think D, D sharp, E, so if you literally take what you're doing for D and take it down 2 frets, so you're now on 9 and 6, and ring out the A as well, it's kind of like an E sus chord. That gives you a second option for E. So this is, So you've now got 3 options for A. You've got 2 options for D, 2 and 0, 7 and 4. And you've got 2 options for E, 4220 or 9600. So I'm going to give you how I would play the opening phrase. We've got 3 measures of A. So I've already kind of given you a hint of what I'd do. I'd do 2 measures in my root A. And then for the 3rd bar, I'd probably go to 6 and 2. Because that, if you've noticed, we've now got a 6 down here. We know we've got a D on 7 and 4. So the 6 and 2A leads quite neatly to the 7 and 4 D. And then you go straight to an E after that. And we've just discovered that E is whatever you're doing on D, take it 2 frets higher, you get an E. And then just to complete the set, the next chord after that is an A. And rather neatly, you're on 9 and 6. As we discovered when we were doing an A, there's a 9 and 7 that's an A. So I'll try and just give me 2 seconds. If you want to just have a little faff around, I will write down the 3 different shapes I'm doing there. So I'm going 2, 2, 0, 0. So it's not the neatest way I've ever done it, but here we've got the first four bars plus the first bar of the second line. So I start on my normal A, 2200, 2200. 3rd bar, I go to 6200 because that resolves neatly to 7400. And then, whoops, I didn't put E chord in. So there's an E chord here. You just literally add 2 frets to each of those to get to the second option for E. And then That is really close to our third option for A that we discussed a few minutes ago, 9 and 7. Now, this might, if this is the first time you've come across these chords, it might feel quite complicated, but there's no more than this. There's not like 10 other versions of A. There's just those 3 patterns for A that you need to memorize. So it's not a big memory task. You just have to remember sort of 2 shapes for each one, at minimum 2 shapes for each chord. And it allows you to write little lines of your chord playing that are more interesting for you and for everyone else. So if I was to play this now, I'll just try and can't wedge it up. So we now start here. Then we go to 6 and 2. So a really nice little pattern going from, and we end up here. And then you might want to just, after that, that's quite heavy thinking. So at any point, you can just revert back to the easy chords. So you might want to just go D, A, E. For the last 3 chords, you might just want to keep it simple. Just to give yourself a bit of a brain, because we've pretty much covered the first 6 bars with that pattern. And then just for the last 2, you might just want to revert back to the root positions just to make it nice and easy for yourself. Now, if I play that along with the track, you can hear how that would sound, because so this is what it sounds like. 2 and 1, 2. So I've got my root position A. Then I got my second position A, D. And then I just go to the easy. Now, so that's what it sounds like. It's not a huge difference, but for me, I love playing chords like this, and especially if anyone has ever seen Jaywalkers, quite often, like Jay's playing fiddle, Lucy's playing bass, so I am the chords, and I spend most of my life trying to find interesting way of playing chords that isn't. I cannot stand the bluegrass chop chord. It bores me to tears within the first verse. So I'm constantly trying to think of ways of playing chords like this. If anyone before is sort of new to playing the right hand, what you can do is keep the right hand really simple while you make your brain think about the left hand. So just a bass and strum would be great, and so 2 bass and strums per bar. So first bar, second bar, third bar. So that's your starting point if you're just concentrating on left hand. If you want to make it more interesting, the rhythm I play, and I call it the country rhythm just so I give it a name because I end up making everyone play it all the time, is I call it bass strum down up strum up. So I'll put the tab on, but then I'll play it and you can hear it in action. So I keep my first bass and strum. So bass, strum, down, up, strum, up is how I will be. If you hear how I'm playing these chords, it'd be like this. And if I just put that into action, it sounds like this. So bass, strum, down, up, strum, up. So if I play it with the and then when you hit a bar with only one of each chord, D, E, just bass and strum. If it's only one chord each, just a bass and strum. That rhythm comes up in your life more than you realize as a Americana or a musician. That little rhythm. So the quicker you can master that, the more interesting you can play your chords. But bass and strum will save you in any situation if you need it. So let's try. I will put that MP3 on again, and I'll just play exactly as I have been doing. So I'm doing 2 bars of the simple A, 1 bar of 6/2, 7/4D, 9 and 6 E, resolving to 9 and 7 A. And then for the last 2 chords, I'm just keeping it really simple. D, A, E. So I'm hit play on this. And if you're not getting any, you could literally just play the simple chords and it will still sound lovely. So here we go again. I'll let 11 a.m. mic count us in. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. So A. Second A to D. To D, D, A to E. And then we'll start again. To 6 and 2, 7 and 4, 9 and 6, 9 and 7. Yeah, let's just give that one more go. There's a lot going on there. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. A. 6 and 2, 7 and 4. D, A, E. And again. 6 and 2. 8, D to A. Cool. So I just chose that combination because I quite like the sound of it. You could do any number. You could start high. You could bum ba 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 bum ba ba da 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 bum ba da 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 da. You know, there's no specific reason other than I quite like the sound of it. The reason I chose that particular pattern. Cool. So then we hit the B part, my favorite section. So the chords, once again, my laptop is just having a little more. Oh no, there it is. That's what I need. So now we hit an A. So we're on, starts on an A, and then it goes to an F sharp minor. If you've never played an F sharp minor before on the mandolin, it's quite a neat chord. F sharp minor is 6 4 0 0. I sort of briefly mentioned it earlier. Now, I actually play F sharp minor with my first and second finger because to me it's like it's still a 2-finger chord like G, C, and D, even though it's down here. So I quite often come down here with my hand in. So I play my F sharp minor like that. Middle finger on 6, index finger on 4. And then it goes to D, which we've done. And then very quickly, there's a very, very quick B minor in this. Now, for anyone who's good at playing chords, obviously the B minor, the main B minor that we play on the mandolin is 4 4 5. But the B minor happens so quickly in this tune, you can almost play it like an A chord, but 2 frets up. So 4 4 0 0 will work in this because it's so quick. That little like a half B minor will get you out of this no problem. So just that as a B minor would work. I've just realized I kind of put the wrong, if anyone's looking at the chord chart, I actually put a slightly more difficult B minor with a 4 4 2 here. Either will work fine. Just for anyone who's never played a B minor before, just pretend you're playing an A chord, but 2 frets higher. Because it happens so quickly, then it instantly resolves to an A chord. So, yes, there are other songs to focus on proper B minor. This one is just get there as quick as you can. So, now let's think of what pattern I might do. I always quite like starting a section on my root, so I'm going to start on my root A. I might just stay there. Then we go to F sharp minor, which we've just discussed, 6 and 4. Then we go to D. Now we're on 6 4. Hopefully you have noticed there's a D that's 7 and 4. So I really like the sound of that. A down here, F sharp minor, and then a nice neat resolve to a D there. Then we've got that B minor we just talked about to an E. So a little simpler in this B part. So root A, root F sharp minor, 7 and 4 D, and then whatever B minor you can get to in the heat of the moment, resolving to an A, and then back to an E. So I'm just going to dive straight in and put that MP3 back on, and let's try this B part round a few times. I will count you in because it's kind of hard to know. So just get ready with your A chord. Right, there we are. Sorry, everyone. Okay, I'll count you in for the B part. 1, 2, 3, 4, A. F sharp minor. 7 and 4 D. Quick B minor. To A, to E. And an A again. F sharp minor. D. B minor A. To E. Cool, let's give that one more go. 1, 2, 3, 4, A. F sharp minor, 6 and 4. To D, 7 and 4. To E, back to A. F sharp minor. D. B minor A. Whew. So that is kind of everything I wanted to talk about in terms of chords, and we have about 10 minutes left. So before I basically just hit those MP3s round on loop a few times to give you time to practice, has anyone got any questions on any of the whirlwind I've just put you through, which I realize is quite a lot of information? But Alan has recorded this, and also I will put all of these little MP3s in a folder that hopefully, Alan, if you don't mind emailing out a link when I send it. So yes, you'll have access to everything we've played along to as well. I will also, I'll tell you what I'll do as well. I will film myself playing these chord shapes so you can watch that back, and I'll put it up as a private YouTube link so you can watch the shape that we talked about today in action. But unless anyone has any questions, I'm just going to keep hitting play on this MP3 and we can try out everything we've done. So if you play the melody, we've got all the... Oh, is that Stu? Is that a hand up? You're on mute. Do you want to...
No, that was the thumb.
Oh, okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, great. Right, let's play it round again.
That's a hand.
Great. So I'm going to stick to chords because I've got me playing melody, so I'm going to play chords now, and you just play whichever one you want to work on more. Unfortunately, I'll have to... When we get to the end, I'll have to stop and start again. I didn't have the foresight to loop this, so yeah. Let's just play it around a couple of times. Here we go. 1, 2, 1, 2. So we start on A. To second A. To D, E. To easy D. To A. To an E. Back to the top. Second A. D, E. D to A. B part. F sharp minor. D. B minor A. To A. D. And I'm just gonna hit play on that again. Here we go again. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's the B part. The B part's now. because this is like a session. Let's do it one more time. Then we've done it 3 times round. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. D to E. D to E. On to the B part. One more B part. F sharp minor. D. There we go. So before I throw it open to any more questions, we've thrown quite a lot at you there. There are quite a lot of fundamentals. So that pick direction, if you've never done that, that's the most important thing you could ever do on the mandolin, is think about those pick directions. It makes everything... It makes your hand like clockwork if you get the right pick direction. And I'm sure Ken will back me up on how much I talk about pick directions in lessons. But you will not find a good mandolin player who has not got the right pick directions. And it applies to chords as well. When we're playing chord rhythms, the right hand's still... Basically, you're connecting your right hand to the beat. That's what you're doing. And then that sort of weird quirk of that in a drone... That's really cool. I'll make sure I include the link to, or maybe the original video I sent is that one. I'll double check which link was sent out, but I'll send the link of the old timers adding that extra note in that I just enjoyed so much. And then messing around with your chords. That's a little bit of basically double stop theory. So learning a few double stops down here can open up so many different ways of playing chords. You know, so it obviously doesn't work in the key of B flat because you can't ring these chords out. But anything in sort of G, D, A, and E, you can really have fun with where you play those chords. So it's worth exploring, and it's not that much memory. You just have to sort of remember almost two different shapes per chord, and you can write some really nice lines. So yes, if anyone has any questions, now would be a wonderful time to ask them. Yes. Yeah, I don't know your name. I'm really sorry. Your handle is Kate Rouse, but I imagine you're not a Kate.
Yeah. I couldn't get my computer to work. I'm on holiday in Turkey, and it's all very strange. But
great.
Yeah,
thanks for joining us. Thanks for persisting.
I just had a quick question. It sounded at one point where you were like harmonizing the melody.
Yes.
Yeah. Could you just very briefly explain how you go about that?
I was basically so any kind of harmonizing is basically chord theory. So if I take the opening phrase of the A part, opening phrase of the B part, do, 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 do. So there's an A chord happening here, and all I'm doing is I'm going to the next note in an A chord above the melody. So an A chord is A, C sharp, and E. So you just keep writing that over and over again. Imagine that's a never-ending repetition of A, C sharp, and E. That's an A chord. So the melody is an E. So I'm just hopping to the next note above that. So I hopped up to an A here.
Right.
Then the melody goes to this. This is a C sharp. So I just hopped to an E. So I went A, E, A, E. I was basically just sort of mirroring the melody.
Right.
People say a third above. It's kind of wrong to say a third. It's the next note in the arpeggio above.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's a really neat example because that's just alternating two notes in the A chord. It gets a bit messy when melodies get a bit more, I was kind of making pig's ear of it at certain points, but it's essentially a little bit of theory, knowing that you've got to know the chord, and you've also got to be pretty quick on your arpeggios.
Okay.
So yes.
Thanks.
Or trial and error. Just trust your ear. We've all heard nice harmonies. A little bit of trial and error. Never goes amiss.
Yeah. Thanks.
No problem. Any other questions?
Could I just ask you to just play it through once more as you did at the beginning of my
Yes.
recording? And I'll just cut
So
out.
I will play it once more, and I will add in quite a few of the things we talked about. So, and remember, I would encourage you to mute me at a certain point and see if you can still spot the beat with my right hand. So here we go. And then the chords, just in case anyone wants to see them. And then the B part, I would play like this. That would be my chord playing. Any other questions before we all go off to our Saturday evenings? Strictly, it's Saturday night. No,
Sounds good there, Mike. Okay, everyone happy with what they've got?
Cool. So
excellent.
tomorrow, as I said, I'm rushing straight off, but so tomorrow morning I'll send Alan just sort of like a couple of summary files that of everything we've talked about, and hopefully he will pass that on to you. And feel free to, Alan, include my email address as well when you send it out. Then if anyone does have any questions, if in a week's time they come to it and can't remember something, I'm happy for everyone to have my contact and drop me an email.
Great.